What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl today. Um, we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about against the spread. We'll talk about maybe a couple of props. Then we're going to get into the DFS part of this, where I'll give some advice on how to play the slate, both from just an overall perspective, and get into some takes or something like that. But we're going to spend a decent amount of time also getting kind of nerdy and doing different types of builds with different types of simulators. So we really do have something kind of for everybody. But I want to start with, again, this is something I really believe. Okay, is that the Super Bowl is representative of the NFL, in that this is supposed to be fun. Okay, and when you're betting on the NFL, it really is supposed to be fun. It's an extremely liquid market. Okay, there's billions of dollars being bet into these games, and to feel as though you have an edge in betting against the spread, for example, in the Super Bowl, I mean, yes, sort of, but it's really like most NFL games, just dominated by so much money that you really should. And this is going to be this is going to be my advice on really betting in most sports, really, but especially the liquid ones. I mean, just pick who you like. I mean, honestly, like, pick the team that you want to root for. If you want to throw some money down on them, go for it. Just assume that you're getting, I don't know, getting a decent enough line. You know, it's the Super Bowl. You want to root for it with your friends or against your friends. You want to, I don't know, you want to root for your squares and your boxes and things like that. Maybe we'll throw a couple of props in, but I really believe that first of all, anybody that's coming to me at this point for my advice on who's going to beat the spread, I mean, no one's going to, honestly, no one is on the fence with who they like. Like, if they're going to bet this game, everybody's already determined who they're taking against the spread. They're not like sweating this. Oh my God, should I take the Patriots plus the 4.5? Seattle minus 4.5? I'm really just not sure. I mean, at this point, you're either not betting the game, which, yeah, okay, obviously not, or you pick the team. So for me to tell you what I think of these teams against the spread is sort of ridiculous. I mean, honestly. But with that said, I mean, this is my view. Okay, is that I really do feel as though this line, it's kind of like the battle between the hashtag sharps and the hashtag public. And I really believe that there's just so many freaking Patriots fans out there, that it's the Patriots fandom that's keeping the Patriots part of this line afloat. And it's the, I know everything about football crew that is keeping the Seattle line afloat. But do not, dismiss how powerful and how rich like all these Patriots fans are. I do believe that if, again, you ran this like a billion times through a simulator, that you probably have the sharper money on Seattle, um, and the quote unquote dumber money on New England. That's just my view on this. So I mean, again, like, if you said, okay, pick a team against the spread for all the money for all your life, I guess I would have to say Seattle, just because of what I just said. But the reality is, if you're going to bet this team against the spread, dude, if you like the Patriots, please just bet the Patriots. If you like Seattle, just bet Seattle. If you hate the Patriots, and there are plenty of people that hate the Patriots, bet Seattle, whatever. There is really not a huge edge in betting this against the spread. Okay. Although I will say, yes, you should probably go shop around, and if you like Seattle, maybe you find something that's minus 4.5, minus 110 instead of minus 115. Certainly that makes some sense. So yeah, I mean, against the spread, no real opinion. I am going to be rooting for Seattle, only because, honestly, like, I really don't hate either of these teams or like any of these teams. I happen to have a sweat for a survivor pool thing, where if Seattle wins, I win like 21,000. And yes, I could hedge this and play. I could really, maybe I'll do this. I could play New England and get 2-1 odds and probably lock in 14,000 by doing that. I don't know. I guess I'll keep the risk on, I guess, and just kind of root for Seattle to win, I suppose. But no real edge there. The other thing I will say, with all of these props, they all stink. Okay, they really all stink. Now you should know that going in. I think they really do all stink from just an EV perspective. I really think that if you're going to play the props, again, just pick something you freaking like. You know what I mean? Like if you want to go, you like Stephon Diggs, you think he can score a touchdown, sure. I promise you that this is a bad line. And I promise you these are all bad lines. And you could go and look at my projections, look at all ETR's projections, everybody's projections about all this stuff. I promise you DraftKings is not giving you a break. Okay? I promise you that for the Super Bowl, you're getting destroyed on the VIG and you're just not winning. I mean, in the long run in a simulator. So really, just pick what you like here. I mean, honestly, I could look at this instinctively and say, I mean, you're really going to play Travion Henderson plus 5-1. Like if you really had to put, money on it that, you would run through a computer and say it would be plus EV. Of course not. Like all these are terrible, but I don't know. Just pick your favorite dude, play him, and I think that that's really kind of a healthy approach to betting the NFL in general. It's a fun sport. It's a fun sport to watch. And if you're going to bet on it, to have a few dollars on it, I think it's totally healthy to just pick your favorite team and just kind of just roll with it. And I know that's not what you want to hear from me, usually very analytical. And when we talk about DFS, we're really, getting into the weeds as far as razor thin percentages and things like that. But when you're just going to bet the game and sweat the Super Bowl, I mean, that's really what I feel about that. Okay. Now, if you're going to play the coin flip, I promise you should be betting on heads. Yeah. So I really don't have much of an opinion on any of these, except to say again, don't sweat it. Really, don't put too much on these freaking props. And I honestly would not go crazy, with running your spreadsheets and trying to snap off 2 cents here and there. For the pros out there, I don't know if any pros are listening to my advice on this anyway, but you grind this all year long with all these games and all this stuff. You could take a break for the Super Bowl and play something fun. I mean, really, it's not going to kill you to do that. Especially with all these books, I think just overwhelmingly reducing the VIG. I mean, increasing the VIG on all these things anyway. I really doubt that, you should be playing these with any real size. That's my opinion. Okay. Let's talk about DFS. Now, DFS, and OG Anunoby is out, so I got to redo my NBA lineups. Well, I got plenty of time, 12:30. Okay. So with respect to DFS, now for those of you that are not watching me for the first time, you've seen me do a lot of analysis on showdown slates, and that's what this is. The showdown slate, which is going to be, participated in by the entire civilized world. Okay, there's going to be, in the big GPP, there's going to be 280,000 entries or whatever it is. There's all different types of contests, from bigger buy-ins to smaller buy-ins to single entries to triple entries to 100 entries to whatever it is. Okay, and here is my advice on an overall basis, and then we're going to get into the weeds, and then we're going to build some lineups using a couple of different tools. Is normally these contests are flooded with pros. Okay. And when you have that, you have everybody using top projections and running sims and, also trying to adjust for duplication and things like that. And just really, really listen, people that know what they're doing in these things. You have people max entering these showdown slates with a lot of skill. And so to compete with them, you have to go, you have to engage in some funny business. I mean, you have to, do whatever it takes to get unique where possible. You can't play the obvious type of builds because you're fighting against very, very tough competition. So in these types of slates, what I usually do is I go through all kinds of anti-dupe medication and all kinds of sims and all kinds of geo-mean filtering and things like that and all kinds of stuff to try to get different. But in the Super Bowl And all of these contests like it, like the Thanksgiving Day slate, the Christmas slate, these slates that are flooded by casuals, okay? My honest advice to you is that you don't have to do that, okay? You do not have to get stupid. And I say that, affectionately. You don't have to get stupid in doing your showdown builds, okay, for this particular contest. Because I feel as though if you just have good projections and a reasonable process, you're already plus EV, okay? And once you start going too nuts, okay, you're giving up just like a lot in the main part of your results, okay? To try to chase like these, I don't know, pick your favorite 0.02% owned guy in the captain. You know what I mean? Like those lineups just have such little chance to win that you really don't need to play them. And the lineups that do have a chance to win are just they're gonna sim out better today because you're not up against just the sharks. I mean, you're up against like everybody that's got a DraftKings account. I mean, perfectly honest. So I feel as though that if you have a reasonable process that at least could do a decent job of running sims and managing dupes, that I think that's good enough. And my opinion on that is very, very strong. Okay. So with that said, I mean, the first thing that I want to do is I'll show you like the projections that I'm going to be using. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just apply them to two different simulators. We're going to use SaberSim, which is what I usually use. And we also are going to use AceMine, which I use from time to time also. And then what we're going to do, if we have time, if I figure out how to do it properly, is we're going to put those sets of lineups into PayDirt. And PayDirt, I'm affiliated with them now, and they have a really good portfolio manager tool, which what you could do is no matter where you build your lineups, whether it's SaberSim or AceMine or whatever, you can put it in there and then it can analyze them for you. And maybe, we can figure out which are the best ones to put in or what's the best portfolio of lineups to put in. So first thing I'll do, I see these are the projections I'm using. And what you might notice is that there are guys that might be active that are not on this list. Okay. And I'll show you my FanDuel once. I didn't rinse that one out yet. Like there's some guys like Dearness Johnson, Cam Akers, Brady Russell, Nick Callerup, and Derek Young, and Robbie House and Jack Westhour. Like these guys did not make it, and I'm going to take them out of the FanDuel one also, actually. These guys did not make it to the main page. And that's important because whenever you run a process, like this, I promise you that if you put a guy in your projection file, I mean, he's got a good chance of showing up. So make sure that if you're going to use guys to accept the fact that you're going to get some, okay? So I cut it off at Jake Bobo. Like these guys down here, like the Arroyo, Kyle Williams, Sober, and Bobo, I'll use them in my pile, which means there is a chance that I might get to some of them, okay? And the other thing I want to also put in here, I will put nobody zero. So I'm going to put in Arroyo 0.01 captain ownership. Okay. Or he's probably he's probably 0.10 maybe. Okay. Put that there. So we have the fantasy points, the ownership, and this is nothing earth-shattering, right? Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably he's going to project as the highest scorer. And then Kenneth Walker, he's got to get all the work. So very strong play. And then the two quarterbacks, and then Ramondre. And then kind of a whole bunch of receivers, between Diggs and Kupp, Booty. I mean, I can't really see too much difference in these guys. Rashid Shaheed, Mac Hollins. So all these guys are kind of in play. And it's just a question of who scores the touchdown, who gets the catches. It's not like the NBA where your minutes are going to usually correspond to points. I mean, like in NFL, it's not. Yes, you have to have snaps, but unless they throw it to you, you have no chance of scoring points. Then you got Demario Douglas. I mean, a little less likely. Then you got these tight ends between Austin Hooper. I mean, like this is nothing earth-shattering. These guys are more likely at the top to score well. These guys are in the middle. Okay. So that's DraftKings, and then FanDuel will take a look at it, and it's very, very similar. Okay. So what you got to do if you have a process, and we'll use SaberSim first, or we can use them both. It doesn't make a difference. First thing you have to think about is what changes do you want to make pre-flop? Like what changes do you want to make, first of all, to the projections? Well, we've already changed the projections. We know what projection we're going to use. Do you want to tell this thing to give you a minimum amount of a certain player? Or do you want to tell this thing to give you a maximum amount of a certain player? Because if you do, then it's going to do it. Okay, that's the way these things work. They're not human. You know, they're not going to have an opinion. They're going to do what you tell it to do. So that's the first question: is do you want to do that? Are you going to want to minimize salary or maximize salary? Are you going to want to have no defense against quarterbacks or anything like that? And that's a very important decision that you want to make pre-flop. Okay. Now, once you build your lineups, you could do it after the fact. But I mean, for me, I'm not interested. You know, like, I don't need to make any rules like that. They're only going to be. Let's put it to you this way: there's only like 20 players playing. Okay, there's only so many like guys, you know, that you can play here. I don't want to be too greedy with who's going with who. You know what I mean? Like I think that in showdown slates, I don't think that's a good idea at all. In addition to that, if you use SaberSim specifically, SaberSim is going to build lineups based on the correlation between these guys anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's going to consider what happens when you put, you know, Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson together. It's going to consider what happens when you play 4, you know, New England receivers together. So for you to put your own opinion on top of that, I mean, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. So that's decision one you have to make. So we're going to show you that we're going to make no changes in that. Okay. So what we're going to do is for both SaberSim and AceMind, we're going to just upload the projection file. Okay. And then we're just going to let it do its thing. So here, we're going to upload the CSV that we saved. Okay. And which is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, but then what we're going to have to do is we're going to X out the guys that we're not going to play. Otherwise, again, SaberSim is going to definitely give me some of that. So let's do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to build. We're going to build 20,000 lineups. We do have a min salary of 45,000, max salary of 50,000, and we're just going to build literally 20,000 lineups. Okay. Now with that, while that's going on, we're going to go into into AceMind and do the same thing. Now AceMind's a little different because what AceMind is going to do is it's going to take my ownerships and build my own fields, like automatically. Okay. So that's something to consider. Now, the other thing, let's get all these zeros in here. Let's put him with 0, give him with 0. Because again, like it's going to override 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Good. Okay. So now we're going to run this. So here's what's going on right now. We're taking the exact same projections and we're putting them in 2 different systems. We're putting them one in SaberSim and we're putting one in AceMind. Now, it's important to know what's going on here. Okay. So in SaberSim, it's building the 20,000 lineups. And then after it does that, okay, what it's going to do is it's going to detect my lineups here because I've already put, you know, dummy lineups in. And then what it's going to do is it's going to assign those lineups to the various contests. Now, here you'll see that for this lottery, which is what we're going to focus on, this 150 lineups, it's using this field that says flagship MME, and what that means is that SaberSim itself has built its field that it presumes the rest of the field is going to play. So after it builds the 20,000 lineups, what it's going to do is it's going to simulate the results of all those 20,000 lineups against what they think the field is going to do, and then come up with the best, first what it does is going to come up with the best ROI lineups given what it thinks the rest of the field is going to play. Okay. We'll get to the portfolio management aspect in a second, but that's the main thing that SaberSim is doing. Now, if you compare that to what AceMind is doing, AceMind is comparing the lineups it's building, which it says here it's generating 23,583 lineups. What it's doing is simulating those results against the field that we've given it. In other words, we put our ownerships in here, and what AceMind is doing is simulating the results of those lineups against the field that we've created for it. Okay, and those are two different things. Okay, those are two different things. What are the differences? Well, one is that for the AceMind version, when we just say, okay, this is the ownership that we want to assign, it's not taking into account like how that ownership is going to be distributed. In other words, it's not going to really think about how people build. Like, it's not going to figure out which players people are going to stack together, or which people are going to be faded, which running backs with defense are going to be played, or whatever it is. Where on the other hand, SaberSim apparently is going to be doing that. SaberSim kind of takes in all that into consideration. Now, what's annoying here is that it looks as though like things are stalling a little bit in my world here, which is going to be a little bit annoying. That's like one thing that's kind of tough about doing things live, is that you kind of have to trust you trust your technology a little bit. But it looks as though it's happening with both things. So is it possible that my system is actually showing? No, because it's already it did the simulation for field 1. It is now simulating field 2. Okay, so this is working. But this is not working too well. Look at this. You just see something. It's calculating. It's getting there. Maybe just like a lot of people. Maybe just a lot of people are after this. Let's just see. I'm afraid to do this at the same time, but I kind of want to do the same thing with FanDuel. All right, this is getting greedy, but we're going to do the same thing with FanDuel. So again, we will do another build. And NFL, this is the name of my file. And again, same thing. We want to make sure that we don't play guys that we don't want to play. Guys that didn't project, I'm not gonna play. So all these guys will X out. And then maybe it's the 20,000 lineups that's causing a little bit of the logjam here. So we'll build 5,000 for DraftKings. Let's see how the DraftKings one's doing here. Still calculating, huh? Wonder if I should do this a little bit. Maybe I should do less lineups. Because it looks like it's moving. It's just not moving fast enough. Why don't we try that? Why don't we try? Let's X this build out. Let's see if we can just get SaberSim moving a little bit better. We'll do 5,000 lineups. I mean, that should be plenty. Okay, same thing. We will X these guys out again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll X them out of the captain as well. Ooh, did I forget somebody? Did I leave in Brady Russell for some reason? Let's see. I think I may have. Yeah. So let's build 5,000. Just to, okay. This would definitely be a bad day for SaberSim to be crashing. No, it is analyze and simulate. Okay, it is building lineups. Okay. While this is going on, let's go back and check Ace Mind. Field 3. Let's check on FanDuel. Again, this is still stuck on calculating, so maybe the 20,000 is really frying this thing. Let's just see DraftKings first. Okay, back to calculating. Now, this isn't going to work. I could show you the set that I built like 10 minutes ago, like before I got on here. But it's definitely a little bizarre that it's not calculating. It's also not a very good advertisement for SaberSim. Okay, so the Ace Mine ones are done. Okay, so just to kind of show you what this looks like. All right. So as you can see, you know, as far as player exposures go, we're getting, you know, the guys you'd expect. Okay, but look at all this Cooper Kupp we're getting, like 55% Kupp. And here's the real hoodoo, like 47% George Holani. Okay, so here is the question, right? Again, you build like this. I have no problem with you, honestly, just like putting this in. Okay, and the reason why is once you start getting into, boy, oh boy, you know what? I like my projections. I like my ownership projections. I trust these sims and I trust the system. But now, because of what I'm seeing in the output, I want to change it. See, that doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, why bother? Oh, here we go. Oh, so DraftKings stuff. Why bother using the systems at all if you're just going to override them? So, okay. So here is what the Ace Mine thing looks like. So 59% are Darnold. The real thing to consider is that there's 47% Holani. Okay, that's the big one. Now, let's take a look at SaberSim. Before we do anything, we do have to run the sims for this. So when you run the sims, what we're doing, first of all, is telling it to sim the results of those 20,000 against all of these contests that I'm in. So we hit run contest sims in doing that. And then we're going to take a look at the exposures and see the differences. And there's going to be one settings change that I think is also going to change things. So again, so this is what we're looking at. We're looking at what SaberSim is taking into account my whole portfolio now. And it's going to say, okay, I'm playing this 44-44, so that's the lineup I want to play in that. And given that, what else should I play in these other contests? So it is a little bit different than what is going on in Ace Mine when it's only doing the one tournament. So let's save these for now. Okay. And then I want to go back and see, oops. And then we'll go back up and see the differences in exposures and see if we can't, I don't know, see if we can't draw any conclusions based on that. Okay, so here we're looking at 38% in the captain, 38% Smith and Jigba, Walker, May, and then a whole bunch of whatevers. And let's see how much Helani we're getting in the flex. Like here, we're getting 31% Helani. So it's definitely more of the Helani in the ace mine view. Okay. However, one thing I should tell you is that this setting that we have here is in portfolio mode. If we didn't want to do that and just looked at the top, EV lineups just for this contest, okay? Let's put this in terms of min uniques, like say 1. So instead of worrying about the whole portfolio, let's just look at this contest and see how that changes maybe. Yeah, so here, when we do that, Helani goes down to 14%. Okay. I guess the idea is that since I don't have Helani in my 44-44, it's going to give me a bunch of them in the other one, which is, listen, that's an important thing to know what you're looking at here. So this one also got 55% Diggs, 50% May or whatever. So we have two completely different sets of lineups. Okay. So what do we do? What do we do with these? Well, before we do that, let me go back and let's see how FanDuel is doing. What we're going to do is we're going to use the portfolio manager tool to figure out what to do. So it looks as though FanDuel again is a little slow. Oh no, it's fine. So we'll take a look at FanDuel, and we'll do the same thing for FanDuel. And while that's happening, we may as well, right, do the same thing for FanDuel for Ace Mine. So we'll put this in. Import data, MVP ownership. We want to put captain own. Okay. And then again, same thing. We got to take out. We got to put all these guys at 0. Otherwise, you'll get them. Okay. And if you don't mind, that's fine. But we've made a decision that we don't want any of these guys. Okay. And we'll run. And while this is going on, let's go back into FanDuel. And we're going to run the Sims. And we'll take a look at our exposures here. Okay, we can't rush it. It's just doing what it's doing. Let's see how quickly it's working with Ace Mine. It's still simulating field 1. And then we're going to pull pay dirt up and see if we can't improve. Again, it's diversifying the lineups, but I don't want to do that. I want to go and just do like min uniques 1. I mean, just to see if we didn't care about portfolio management, what these exposures would look like. Okay. All right. So FanDuel for Saber Sim, 25% Drake May captain, a whole bunch of guys on the captains here a little bit. But the majority of it is who you'd expect. Drake May, Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith and Jigba, whatever. Anything in the flex that we should consider? No, I mean, actually, there's a good amount of New England defense, huh? 32% New England defense, higher owned than Seattle. That is interesting. Okay. And let's go back and let's see. Ace Mine. Okay, so what we could do in the meanwhile is this. We're going to put a couple of files together to use for portfolio manager. Let's go back to DraftKings. And we're going to download this whole kind of CSV. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take the top, like 500, I guess, by EV. Let's see here. That's this one. I think it pre-lists by EV, I think. Millionaire Maker. Yeah. Wait, is it this one? Yeah, so let's this is the 4.5 milli maker as opposed to, which is this one. This is the, I don't know which one we're looking at here. This one's fine. Well, these are low geo means, huh? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the top 500. Oh, it's not the milli maker. Perfect. Okay. We'll take the top 500. You know what? Let's take them all. Why not? We're going to save these. Call this Pay Dirt, SaberSim, DraftKings, Super Bowl. Okay, so we have a file that we're going to use in Pay Dirt. And again, this is going to be some buildup, but let's now go to the FanDuel on SaberSim. Let's go back to this build over here. And again, we're going to download these. And then let's just make sure this is being sorted in the right way. These are pretty low geo mean lineups. These could be pretty good. That's the blitz. I don't want the blitz. I want the big game one. This one, right? Okay, so this guy right here. Okay, we'll sort by here. And then again, we'll get rid of all this. I don't even know if FanDuel supports Pay Dirt. Pay Dirt supports Pay Dirt Manager, Portfolio Manager, for example. I mean FanDuel. Let's undo this. Let's save this as Pay Dirt, FanDuel, SaberSim, Super Bowl. And just for the hell of it, I'm going to go back into that other file name, and I'm going to take out the filters. I just don't know if it's going to not like that. Okay. And then we're going to go, let's see how Ace Mind is doing. Oh, almost done. So while that's going on, ooh, can I go back to the old one? I'm going to wait to go back to the old one. But okay, so we can actually get started. So let's go to Pay Dirt. Okay. And what we're going to do, go to Pay Dirt Portfolio Manager, and we're going to upload these lineups that we built and see what information we can glean from this. Okay. So the first thing we have to do, what's great about this is that Pay Dirt saves the pricing file from the data. You don't have to worry about that. We have to put a portfolio in, and even if the projections file, we could use mine if we want, but we could use Pay Dirt's as well. We'll use Pay Dirt's for this perspective. We don't have to. We want to use ours. Let's use Pay Dirt's for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to upload our lineups. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to upload from this Pay Dirt SaberSim DraftKings thing. It's going to find them, and then we're going to put Manage Portfolio. Okay. So at the very least, ooh, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. Are we failing? I hope we're not failing here. We'll start over. Let's just hold on a minute. We gotta hold on. Let's refresh this. Let's do the same thing. Showdown, position management. We'll let's just do this so that we can see. Manage portfolio is slowing on me here. See if he's around here. Let's see. Said I went too fast. Okay. So let me go back. And let's clear the data. I can send him an invite. So let's do that. Okay. I guess copy link. And then he's going to come on here with me. Okay. We have James on here with us, and he's going to walk me through how to go on to the next step here.
I mean, you had it. You just clicked the button too quick.
I'm too quick. So let's start over. So let's load from PayDirt database. We'll use your projection file. It doesn't make a difference really. And then let's load from my files.
Mm-hmm.
We have this error over here, but that'll fix once I upload.
Yeah.
And then here. Okay, so you think it's okay to do it now?
Yeah, now go for it. Yeah.
It's right here, right?
Wait. Up top. So you see the little guy that's running in the top right? Well, I mean, when you
that was running, you mean?
Yeah, that was running. So
so you got to let him finish. Okay.
Yeah. Little tidbit: load your portfolio before you load your projections.
Okay.
That way it has a second to like intake the portfolio before it does the things.
Oh, great. Okay. So could we do the database this first?
Yeah. Do the pricing first,
and then the portfolio. I mean, I don't even do all 5,000, but anyway.
No, but I mean, it's still like it loads plenty fast. It takes like 3 or 4 seconds or something like that to do it through.
Right. Okay. DraftKings. Okay, so.
And then go ahead and load your projections.
So no guys running over there.
Not yet.
Yep. So let's just load from the database. Okay, so he's over there. So I got to let that thing that thing go. Okay.
Yeah. And then when that's done, so what I should do is probably make it so that managed portfolio.
So now that's done.
Yep. Now it's good.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you load like 1,000, it is like 1, maybe 2 seconds. If you load 5,000, maybe 4 or 5 seconds or so.
So what I was gonna do first is now here's again the thing I've been asking for. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I loaded these in order of ROI.
Yeah.
So are they displaying now in order of ROI? Probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, I could, like at this point, sort this whole thing by dupes if I felt like it.
Yeah.
But what would you do in this situation? Like I have 5,000 lineups all sorted by ROI. Mm-hmm. What would you do here if you wanted to take this file, for example, and generate like. So what I want to do is really like do something to this file and then do the same thing to the AceMind file, and then like figure out how to combine them both in some way.
Yeah.
So like, what do you think would be a good place to start here?
So I think it depends on like what you're aiming to do and what contests you're in and all that kind of stuff, right?
Well,
So
we just want 150 in the lottery.
150 in the lottery. So do
That's
you
what
want to do like 75 here and 75 from AceMind? Do you want to do 150 from each? Like,
Yeah. So what I would wanted to do is maybe just pick the best 150 out of the two somehow. You know,
okay.
the problem is, well, one of the problems is that you can't upload both formats at the same time because AceMind is the regular DraftKings format. But what I could do is I could sneakily see. So what I could this is what I could if I like download this from here, it's going to then look like the other one. But what it's going to do, it's going to lose its going to lose its ability to rank by ROI, right?
No, it doesn't. If you download it right now, then it should still be. It should maintain its ROI.
So what we can do then? So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to download this from here.
Yeah, if you look at that top one, yeah, these are still sorted by ROI.
Okay, I mean, there's no thing that says ROI, but it's still sorted by ROI.
Yes,
fair enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top. Let's say 250.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, let's do that. And then we'll take the top 250, and then we'll save this for now over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with the AceMind one, because now what we've now done is just converted the SaberSim format to the AceMind format. So then what we'll do is we'll go back to the AceMind thing. Let's go back to this is FanDuel. So let's go back to results. This was DraftKings, and then we'll.
Why don't you grab custom and grab 250 of them?
That's what I'm going to do. Hold on. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so we'll export those. Now, again, we don't know like how these compare to the other ones, right? So, but it's
you might have dupes in this set as to the other ones.
Well, here's the question. Well, you think the portfolio manager will figure that out?
Yeah, of course. It'll sort out. It'll.
Of course, huh? We'll see. Okay, of course. All right, so let's clean this up a little bit.
Looks like you still have the teams in there. Column G.
Oh, right.
There you go.
So now this is going to be. We'll just save this. So I always like to give it something. So this is like pay dirt DraftKings 500. Okay, so. All right, so now we have is my top 250 from AceMind, my top 250 from
AceMind,
from SaberSim. So now we're going to clear data, and now we're going to do is we'll still use the paydirt database. Oops, clear data again, and then data load, right?
Yeah.
Showdown NFL, and then probably should use my projections. But it's not going to recognize my format, I don't think. Let's just see. Let's just try it. Template. Well, actually, it should. So here, this is what it looks like.
No, Captain Owen would be wrong.
No. I don't mean that. I could fill in the.
Oh yeah, you can just fill in the blanks.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then points. And then ownership and captain own. And then template. Okay, so. Oh, we want the portfolio first, you're saying?
Yeah, portfolio first.
Now we use this because we converted them to that.
Yeah.
And then here. And then upload. And then browse files. So for those who have been following along, okay. Wait, is this right? Position plate 1. Is that what I called it?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because you didn't have position, team, or salary there.
Right. Okay. So again, what we've done before we click this is we use my projections. We put them into SaberSim. Let SaberSim create, top ROI lineups given their fields. Then we did the same projections, but we used AceMind, and what they did is use my ownerships to create my own field, and we're taking the top 250 lineups from that. So now we have the top 500 total ROI lineups, and now we're going to click Manage Portfolio.
So
or was that too slow again? Was that too fast?
Position or salary in that projections file. I wasn't sure if that would work, but it's good to know that it didn't.
Okay, so what was wrong?
You didn't have team, position, or salary.
And I need that?
Yeah. Well, you need salaries so that it can build lineups.
Right. Okay, so we can, okay, so that's no problem. So let's user upload. Well, let's start over. Clear data. And then data upload. Wait, clear data.
Yeah, you're fine. You just go the CSV. It's because there's nothing to use in the projections file there because it was.
Oh, I have to put the team and salary.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. Well, can I download yours?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So how do I download yours?
In terms of just like downloading to use it?
Just so I can just replace my data, but you have the teams and everything already preloaded.
Yeah, so I mean, you could go to the range of outcomes and grab the download there. Or
so you can't go do it from here. Okay.
No.
Let's I know how to do this. I think I know how to do this. I have another way to do this.
I can send it to you really quick if you want.
Yeah, I know. It's a little.
Do you need anything?
No, we're streaming.
Yeah, let's.
Sorry.
I could just use yours, but you want it here. Where's? Let's go to the range of outcomes. You want to do that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Where am I looking?
So first go up in that top bar and change it from regular showdown. And then refresh. That same bar. There you go. And then just hit the PM export. There you go.
Right. The only thing is that I have to take out these guys. I'm not playing. Okay, and then what we'll do is we will sort this by. Oh, I see. Okay. $125. Okay, so then positions are good. So we just need. Got it. Great. Okay, let's take out the filter just for the hell of it. And then, so this is going to be the new projection file.
Yeah, there you go.
Go back into Portfolio Manager. And then, okay, NFL, Showdown. Here. DraftKings, browse files. It was here. Peter. And then user upload. files, and then
And it's that top one, yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. Nobody's spinning. We should be ready to go.
Yeah. So if you wanted to check to make sure that it's the correct projections that were
Yeah.
loaded, you could always go into that projections management tab.
Okay.
And that tab will also let you change projections, change ownership, change stuff, right? If you were to look at this and say, I kind of think that these ownerships are maybe a little bit wrong, or if you wanted to see what would happen if somebody's ownership was different, like what the dupes would be in those scenarios, you could always go in and change those things too.
Right. Now, we also have to talk about this idea, though, that we've only uploaded 500 lineups.
Uh-huh.
So this dupe thing is going to be bad, right? Because
no, not bad. No. The more lineups that you have, the more accurate it will be.
Right.
But it does have globals in there that has an understanding of what general ownership looks like, what general salary is for sports and types of sports. Right.
Okay.
So like a lineup, for instance, that has, 48-7 with those guys in it, it's going to be lower.
I see.
If it was 49-7, then that's going to be higher. Right.
Right. I got you. Okay. So all right, so now we have this list of 500, and they're all pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I didn't do, I don't know if you caught this, but I didn't do any portfolio management stuff. So it's like I'm getting literally the raw top, ROI lineups from each projection set, and then from each simulator. And I'm just trying to picture out 1/5, which to use. Now, the first question that I want to ask you is this not the diversity score,
right?
Okay, what exactly is that, and why shouldn't I shouldn't put it this way? I mean, what's the benefit of just saying, okay, sort by diversity score and just kind of roll with that?
There's no reason why you couldn't do that with your process right now. So,
and what does that do?
So the diversity is basically telling you, in mathematical terms, I'm going to be kind of technical here for a second.
Yeah.
But in mathematical terms, it's telling you how far away each lineup is from one another. And the way that it's doing that is by breaking down the names and then finding the difference in the naming conventions between each lineup. And so if you have a lineup that has a lot of the same names as the other lineups, right? Like a lineup that has a lot of the same guys is going to have a lower diversity score. Whereas a lineup that has a lot of the different guys that are not found throughout your portfolio, it's going to have a higher diversity score. So essentially, whoever your highest owned players are, your core, lineups that have your core are going to have a lower diversity. Lineups that do not have any of the guys from your core are going to have a higher diversity, right? So you can think of it as if you wanted to find a bunch of lineups that are very different from all of the guys that you have, you would use higher diversity. If you want to have lineups that are very tight around your core, you want lower diversity.
That makes sense. Court manager, DraftKings.
I can show you visually how to look at this really quick.
Oh, you want me to have you share?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep going for it. So go down and look at go below this table. Scroll down a bit. You did this the hard way, but it's going to get there eventually. Okay. So go ahead and analyze players. Down a little bit more.
Right here?
Nope, down a little bit more. There you go. Analyze players. So this is going to tell you the exposures of your players. And it's also going to give you information about each of the players, their average duplicates and lineups that they're in, average finishing percentage, all that different stuff. But specifically, what we want to see here is the exposures, right? So 53% Drake May, 43% Sam Darnold, 42% Cooper Kupp, right? Happy, cool. So go up a little bit on this left bar over here where you have all the options. And for stratify.
Yep. For those who are the uninitiated, okay, explain what stratify means. And when I say the uninitiated, you've explained this to me 10 times and I still don't know what it is.
So stratification is going to take, if you drop down that bar really quick, whatever your stat choice is, what it's going to do is it's going to give you, and this is, again, more tech talk, a linear representation of your lineups based on that stat. So when it goes through a stratification process, say that you have 100 lineups, right? And say that you want 10 lineups produced, and you choose it based on, say, diversity or weighted ownership, right? Those are the two main ones that I do. Of those 100 lineups, it will look at that stat. It'll take the highest of that stat and the lowest of that stat. So say that you had 100 lineups, the highest ownership one is 100, the lowest ownership one is 1. If you want 10 of those, it's going to chunk that out into 10 different like thresholds of weighted ownership. It's going to say, here's the lineup that has 100% ownership. Here's 90% ownership. Here's 80% ownership. And it'll give you those 10 lineups based on those 10 tick marks of thresholds of that stat. Okay? So what it's trying to do is say, here's your stat that you chose. You chose weighted ownership. If you choose the sample range 0 to 100, it's going to take from the 0th percentile of that stat to the 100th percentile of that stat and give you chunks of that based on how many lineups you want.
So based on best practices, like what do you like to use? Weighted ownership?
I will almost always use diversity or weighted ownership. And I'll tell you the reasons why I use each one really quick. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and do diversity really quick and just chunk this out to say 100 instead of 150 so that we can see this a little bit, a little bit more linearly. Go ahead and hit portfolio and let it do its thing. So you see how the diversity column now is like linear? That's what we stratified on, right? So it took the highest diversity lineup out of the set, which was 83, down to the lowest, which was 0, and it gave us a linear representation of our lineups, 100 lineups in that linear representation. Okay?
Now, what does that mean? Does that now? What's the difference between a linear representation and like a ranking?
No, I mean, so in this context, it would be regular, but like linear just means that it is going to follow. If you were to graph this, it's going to go straight linear representation. Like it's just a straight line from 0 to 83, straight line, okay. Right? If you were to do that, so you could always reset this portfolio and do it on something else. You could do it on weighted ownership. You could do it on edge. You could do it on median. You could do it on ownership, all this different kind of stuff, right? But really quick, go down to the analyze player combos again, because I want to point out what the diversity is actually doing. So remember, we had like 53% Drake May, 44% of the second highest, I think it was JSN, and then 42% of Cooper Kupp, right? Yep, right there. There you go. Okay, so we mostly maintained our highest exposures, right? Darnold 42, Cooper Kupp 49, Drake May 47, right? But now we also have lineups that are different. We have lineups that still maintain our exposure structure, but we have half of them that are at lower diversity, meaning that we still have those guys, but they're outside of the core. Now, I'm going to show you what it means to have a lower diversity portfolio really quick. So go up and a little bit higher, reset portfolio. And just choose default because that's the only one that you have saved. So now if we wanted lineups that were very similar around our core, over in that sample range, underneath the lineups to produce, change that 0 to 25 instead. So take that down to 0 and take the 100 down to 25. And then go ahead and stratify.
Hit portfolio?
Mm-hmm. So what this will do is it will only use lineups that are within the 25th percentile of diversity. So now go down and analyze your player combos. And what we're going to see is that we have a lot of Sam Darnold, Drake May, and Cooper Kupp. Like before it was like in the 50s. So now Sam Darnold 71, Cooper Kupp 71, Drake May 66. See how now all of our lineups are built around those guys? Like we have a lot more of that combo because we didn't have any like high diversity lineups. We have low diversity lineups. So this is building around a core, is to use low diversity on stratification.
So, okay. So again, best practice, whatever.
Yeah.
When I would tell somebody, okay, I'm going to give you more diverse lineups.
Yeah.
For example, that would, people might ask, does that mean that that's a more conservative portfolio?
No, that's not really. That is a more aggressive portfolio. That's a more spread out portfolio. If you have much more diverse lineups, that means that yes, you can cover more bases, but it also means that you have less players that are touching each other, meaning that you have like less of a chance if any one player does really, really well, right? Like let's consider that we have a really highly diverse portfolio and like our highest exposure is 35% or something, right? If you have a highest exposure of 35% of player A and you have a highly diverse set of lineups, that means that player A is not touching as many of the other players. There's not so many combos that have player A in them. So if player A does well, even as your highest exposed player, because you don't have as many combos with him, it's harder to nail the combo that wins, right? Like you cover more bases, but because you're so spread out, it's harder to capture ceiling games together.
Gotcha.
Whereas if you have like 35% exposure to player A, but you have low diversity in your lineups, that means you have more combos with player A around that 35% of him, which would mean that you can capture more ceiling combos around that player A combo.
I mean, it would seem that, like, so what's the difference? Seem like what I'm doing now is basically just, let's say I just want to take the top 150 rated by diversity score. What's the difference between doing that and stratifying by diversity score?
So if you were to, like with the lineups, that with what you just did, taking this 150 that are the highest diversity score, lowest, if you have 500 lineups and you want 150 and you just want it to be highly diverse, what you would do is instead of changing the sample from 0 to 25, like I just showed you, you would change it from like to like 75 to 100. That is then going to stratify through the top 75th percentile of diversity, where you have more diversity in your lineups.
As opposed to what I'm doing now, isn't this taking the top 100 diversity or no?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so when you say that doing it this way, like what I'm showing, is more aggressive than doing the stratifying way?
Yes. Okay. I would say that what you would prefer to do,
is
if you wanted to spread out, is to stratify for 150 with a sample of 0 to 100. Gotcha. With diversity specifically. With weighted ownership, it's different. With weighted ownership, if you stratify from 0 to 100 on sample, you're going to get lineups in the 0th percentile of weighted ownership. And you and I both know that probably sucks, right? Like lineups that have 0th percentile in weighted ownership, there's a reason why nobody is playing those guys.
Right?
And you're probably not going to get any lineups with Darnold, May, and Cooper Kupp together because those guys are all highly owned. So if you like go ahead and sort this set of lineups really quick by weighted ownership and just look at the lineups in the lowest range.
You mean all the way down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like look at how bad these lineups are.
Yeah.
In comparison to the lineups at the top, right? Like it's weighted ownership is not everything.
Right.
Low ownership is okay in some sports. But for the most part, people are pretty smart, right? Like, we want some ownership. So when I do stratification of weighted ownership, I'm doing it like 50 to 100. For NBA, I do like 75 to 100 because ownership is almost linear to projections in NBA. So like I don't mind having a stratification there of ownership that is really, really high.
And just to illustrate a point for those of you who have been around the block a little bit. So we sorted it by weighted ownership, and not surprisingly, like this is where all the dupes are going to be.
Right? Yes. Yeah.
So let me go over again other things I've thought about. I mean, what is the SE score, and what is lineup edge?
So the SE score is single entry score. It's a metric that I developed that says And it's most useful for things like NBA, but it's also like when you think about how to play a single entry lineup, what you want to do is you want to have median that is high, but you also want to lower your volatility a bit. So you also want to have ownership that is high, right? Like you want to play these lineups that are still able to win, but lower your volatility a bit. So SE score, if you sort that by highest SE score, then what you're going to see is you're going to see a whole bunch of lineups that have high medians and high weighted ownership, because those are the lineups that are likely to do well in smaller fields and single entry where people need to lower their volatility. A lower SE score is basically like, it's probably not a great lineup overall, but it's better for GPPs. Lineup Edge is going to tell us basically win percentage, finish rate, and medians. So these are going to be lineups. Oh, and lower ownership, right? So these are the better lineups for GPPs. These are the lineups that maybe don't have as much ownership, but still have really, really good win percentages, finishing rates, and medians. Now, one thing that I want to work on is when it comes to finishing rate, right now, finishing rate is based a lot on weighted ownership and median, but it doesn't necessarily do a super great job right now as to telling you how often a lineup can cash. Because you and I both know that a lineup that has a high finishing rate, like in the top 1th percentile, 2th percentile, stuff like that, like that's a barbell lineup. It's likely to finish first or last. Right now, I don't do a great job of explaining that, yes, this lineup has a great job to do first or last, but like your chances of finishing in the 20th percentile and cashing suck.
Right.
So that's worth noting when it comes to finishing rate. But lineup edge is a good way. And lineup edge also is very, very sensitive to dupes, right? If you have high dupes on a lineup, the lineup edge sucks because your ROI just can't be as high as like a lineup that finishes unique first rather than duped 20 times. Right.
Yep.
So those are those things.
Okay. So just again, a little bit of a, again, so we started off this stream with like the most, the most fun way of looking at things, like just play who you want. It's the Super Bowl, whatever. And then we got slowly but surely into like, first of all, the mid-range part of the geekness is that, you know what? It's the Super Bowl. So you have a lot of casuals. As long as you have any kind of reasonable process, there's no reason to get too freaking crazy. As far as that's the way I look at slates like this. Like the average like Monday night slate, like on week 9, like if you want to be competitive in that, you're going to have to do some crazy fucking shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where
in the Super Bowl, if you start going like too crazy, like 30%, like Jake Bobo and captain, or whatever, you're doing too much. Just accept. Listen, you're not gonna win this thing by yourself, okay? But but you can find a good 20 dupe lineup. You know what I mean? Like that can cash for good money without having to go too freaking crazy. So, and with the portfolio manager, again, this is going to be my advertisement. As I mentioned earlier, we're now like officially with Paydirt. So now there's like no more excuses for me to not like really learn how to use this on a daily basis.
Yeah. So
this is like the most, popular slate to play, like the Super Bowl. Right after the Super Bowl, we're going to start like dealing with like the least popular things, like a lot of other sports, like NBA and baseball and MMA, which again, like I think that we're really going to do something really good with the MMA stuff because first of all, like you have like no bad habits. This is like your first year really trying to attack it, so you have no like bad habits. And I think that without getting too into it, I think we're onto it with a good ownership file. You know what I mean? Where we can work, between that and using the portfolio manager to minimize dupes. I think we're going to do really well with the MMA stuff. I think we'll end up doing well with the golf showdown too. And the golf stuff too. And remember, golf is every week, and I'm really looking forward to this. So I really encourage everybody to get in there. I mean, what was TrueDFS or is TrueDFS is going to be, I guess right now. I mean, you could get with Paydirt, and it's be a good combination of the content providers they already had at Paydirt, which have some just super duper freaking sharp freaking dudes. I mean, and then like Bobby and I like getting in there and trying to explain stuff a little bit. and me bringing some of my own stuff in there, and Brandon doing some NASCAR stuff. I think I don't know. I think it's going to appeal to a I don't want to say like overly geeky crowd, you know what I mean? But I think like a kind of like the discerning crowd, you know. So
Yeah.
We'll see, but I'm looking forward to it. So thanks, James, for popping in here. I hope everybody kicks ass in the Super Bowl, and that's it. Anything from you, James?
No, yeah, I'm excited. Just to echo like your thoughts, like with TrueDFS joining Paydirt. It really, even if you don't think that Paydirt is the best place to be for traditional sports, for like the mainline sports, there's not going to be anywhere that you can go that's better for like the secondary sports. We're going to own MMA, NASCAR, PGA. Like I already crush esports, right? Like there's not a better place to be for esports already. So especially because like the mainline places don't even really offer MLB in major capacity. I don't know why you wouldn't come over to Paydirt. Like we're gonna have such good years. So I'm really excited.
And I'll tell you something else, by the way. I mean, to toot Bobby's horn for a minute, like Bobby's good at like some sports, and some sports better than others. I mean, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, he's really freaking good at baseball. Like he knows his baseball. And when you combine like people that like actually know the sport with people like you and me who know how to like take advantage of people who know how to know the sport, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna be a good combination.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
All right, man. Good luck with the Super Bowl today. Good luck with everything, and I'll catch up to you later.